Namibia, one of the harshest and most extreme environments on the planet. In this region of southwest Africa, the heat can exceed 50 degrees during the day and change dramatically at night. Rainfall is scarce, water is limited, and shade is almost non-existent. The conditions are so unforgiving that any form of life must adapt or disappear. The land is arid, broken, and often empty. But this apparent calm hides a constant struggle. Here, survival is not an option, it's an obligation. Every day represents a new challenge where mistakes are unforgivable. Resources are scarce and competition is fierce. In a matter of seconds, an ambush can end in screams, dust, and torn bodies. Predators dominate this environment. In a single instant, the balance is shattered and the hunt begins. There's no room for distraction. Speed and strength define the hierarchy. The prey, always alert, run for their lives. The patient hunters wait for the right moment to strike. This habitat offers no guarantees. Only the most prepared survive. Welcome to Namibia, one of the most challenging and dangerous landscapes in the world. In the early hours of the day, when the golden light barely touches the tops of the acacia trees and the cool breeze sweeps across the savanna, a deep sound shakes the calm. A deep, prolonged roar that alerts these small meerkats. It is the warning of a male lion whose mane stirs like dark flames in time with the wind. This lion patrols northern Namibia, a territory he knows every inch of, marked by footprints, scents, and ancient battles. This lion doesn't hunt. His role is different: to protect, intimidate, and secure the lineage. He is the almost silent guardian of a wild community. But in Etosha, the art of hunting belongs to the true strategists, the lionesses. 3 silhouettes glide through the tall grass of northern Namibia. They move with precision, with a coordination that isn't taught, it's inherited. In absolute silence, they communicate their intentions with minimal gestures, an ear that rotates like radar toward the target, a tail that twitches impatiently, and a look that says it all. In front of them, a group of zebras and antelopes graze cautiously. They know that every blade of grass can hide more than just a shadow. On the savannah, hunting isn't just about running. It's about tactics, patience, and above all, control. Lionesses don't improvise. Their success depends on the seconds before the attack. They separate noiselessly. One takes the lead, crawling across the dry ground. The other 2 flank each side, forming a lethal semicircle. The breeze seems to be blowing in their favor. There's no room for error. The zebra cubs trot along close to their mothers, still unaware of the approaching danger, but the wiser adults smell fear. The atmosphere changes. The tension is felt in the posture of their bodies, in the trembling of their paws. Everything is about to explode, and the meerkats decide to hide in their burrows until the danger passes. And then, the attack. The silence is broken by a burst of movement. The zebras stampede away, raising clouds of dust. They squeal, whinny, and fight hard to stay within the group. The lionesses, firm, swift, don't hesitate. They don't chase just anyone. They choose the youngest, the weakest, the one who hesitates in the midst of panic. The hunt lasts mere seconds. A neck caught in the jaws, the young zebra has fallen. Life fades away ingloriously as the rest of the zebra calves realize the danger. There's no time to grieve. They must prepare for all the challenges this wild Namibia has in store. On the other hand, the lionesses achieved their goal as a group, but this is not a cause for celebration. Rather, it is a necessity imposed by nature, a food chain that requires blood to sustain life, and which in turn comes with the danger of abandoning their young, while many stalkers wait for the slightest carelessness. The lionesses pant, exhausted, but they're not eating yet. Their priority is the pups. From the shadows, small, spotted pups wait. They'll be the first to feed. This clan needs the youngest to grow big and strong to strengthen the group. Then the mothers, aunts, and older females will eat. Finally, the dominant male. His role is not minor. He doesn't participate in the hunt, but he protects the pack from other predators, from opportunistic hyenas, from other lions. Here, everything has an order. Nothing is wasted. Every day is a test of survival, where strength and cunning are the only guarantees of survival. Because the savannah doesn't forgive weakness, and each member of the group plays a vital role. Many miles away, where the sand is finer and the sun shines with merciless intensity, other creatures make their way through dunes and thorny thickets. They are silent giants, the desert elephants. They don't belong to a distinct species, but rather to an elite of adaptation. Their wider feet dig less deeply into the sand. Their skin, cracked by time and heat, protects them from the sun. But what makes this animal stand out most is its memory. It's its greatest weapon. In the vast expanses of the Namib Desert, where life is measured in drops of water and time seems to float like dust in the wind, a herd moves with an ancient choreography. In front walks Mara, an elderly female with worn tusks and a gaze weathered by decades of migration. Beside her, a slower pace reveals Aleka, her visibly pregnant daughter. An elephant's pregnancy lasts 22 months, an eternity for humans. For them, however, it's part of the unbreakable cycle they've repeated generation after generation. But here, in the oldest desert on the planet, bringing a new life into the world is an act of courage. Every day that passes, Aleka risks her life and that of her unborn child. Mara's memory, water springs up once a year. Aleka, increasingly exhausted, struggles onward. The nights grow colder and the days crueler. Life in Namibia is unforgiving, and nature grants no respite. Water is scarce, and with it energy. But the herd doesn't stop, because to stop here, in this hostile land, is to give in to death. Desert elephants don't just survive, they endure with dignity. With every step, Aleka carries within her a hope, a promise of the future. Her companions surround her, watch over her, care for her. The elephants know that when the time comes to give birth, they must protect her from the heat, the jackals, and the loneliness. Because in this place, even birth can be a tragedy if it happens at the wrong time. One afternoon, as the sun begins to set and the wind is filled with the bitter scent of the withered bushes, Aleka stops. Her ears twitch, so do her paws. Mara, watching her from a distance, knows the moment has arrived. The herd forms a circle around her, a circle of protection, a silent ritual. No other species on the planet protects its birthing babies this way. There are no roars, no screams, just deep breaths and instinctive glances. Labor lasts for hours. Aleka falls to her knees, rises, falls again. Her body, enormous and powerful, shakes with each contraction. Sweat shines on her skin. Shadows lengthen. Night falls. The stars emerge indifferent, silent witnesses to a birth. And then, in the midst of absolute silence, a subtle sound is heard. A small body falls onto the sand, motionless, fragile, vulnerable. The wind blows gently, as if it understands that something sacred has just happened. Aleka spins around. With her trunk, she cleans the newborn. She gently pushes it out. Life clings to its first breath of air. The baby elephant, still clumsy, tries to get up. He falls, he crawls, he tries again. The other elephants approach. They smell him, caress him with their trunks. They introduce him to the world. He's a boy. And although he doesn't know it yet, he was born in one of the most unforgiving places on Earth. Every day he survives will be a victory. The drama of life in Namibia doesn't end with birth. It's just beginning. The next morning, the baby elephant takes its first steps under the merciless sun. It doesn't yet know what heat, hunger, or thirst are. It will soon find out. Because in this desert, there is no room for innocence. The herd resumes its march. Aleka, slower than ever, advances with her son at her side. Every shadow cast by the rocks, every damp corner under a stunted acacia could be a refuge or a trap. In the distance, hyenas prowl. The scent of a newborn is a beacon for scavengers, but Mara doesn't forget. Her memory is a map, a living library of all the places where water once flowed, where there was once safety. And it is that memory that guides her people through the shifting sands of oblivion. Aleka's milk begins to run dry. The baby elephant squeals for food. His legs tremble. The desert doesn't stop, nor does the sun. Desperation begins to stalk the pack. The youngest protest, the oldest remains silent, and then, just when it seems there's no way out, Mara stops. She smells the earth. She digs hard. Once, twice, 3 times. Dust flies. Suddenly a light, dark stain appears. Mud, water, a miracle. The herd roars with joy. Life at last grants them a respite. The little one jumps into the water, or what's left of it. He splashes. He drinks clumsily. His eyes, for the first time, shine with something resembling joy. Aleka looks on, exhausted but proud. She has achieved the impossible, bringing life into the world and keeping it alive in the heart of the most hostile land. The herd continues its march in single file, led by a deep-eyed matriarch. She mentally records where there is water, which routes to avoid, which plants they feed on, and which they poison. Around her, the youngest siblings are happy about this great day, running around, tripping and playing chase, while the youngest decides to simply hide between his mother's legs. They don't yet sense the danger that surrounds them, but they're learning. Their mothers guide them with gentle nudges of their trunks, with firm touches, with deep sounds that only they understand. Upon reaching an acacia bush, the feast begins. Their trunks are raised to the sky before the attentive eyes of the little ones, who must learn to break off branches, shake them to remove thorns, and then put them in their mouths. They also dig into the soil in search of moist roots. Every bite counts, because in this dry land, every drop of water extracted from a plant is a prolonged life. But they are not alone. On a moonless night, eyes multiply in the darkness. Golden spots move stealthily. A pride of lions, hungry, lurks in the distance. It's not their usual prey, but desperation can bend the rules. The group hasn't been able to feed itself for several days. They know that attacking an adult elephant is suicidal, but a calf, if it's far enough away from the herd, it can give meaning to the operation. Across the arid plains of northeastern Namibia, the savanna seems motionless. But in this theatre of dust and shadow, every creature plays a vital role. For the lions, it's a critical night. The recent rains have been scarce. The zebras and wildebeest have moved south, and the herd needs to feed. What would once have been unthinkable is now possible, and dangerous. In the distance, a herd of African elephants crosses the night landscape. At its center, newborn calves take refuge under the protective cover of the females. The matriarch, a veteran of countless migrations, leads with experience and determination. Each footstep echoes like a dull warning on the dry ground. But one of the cubs, more curious than cautious, begins to fall behind. Lions sense opportunity. Their movements are precise, almost choreographed. A hunt like this requires coordination, stealth, and a bit of luck. They know they have little margin for error. However, the elephants are not defenseless. Through an ancient language of vibrations, gestures, and imperceptible sounds, the alarm spreads throughout the herd. The matriarch stops. She raises her trunk and emits a brief but powerful call. Within seconds, the entire group reconfigures. The females form a tight ring, a living wall of muscle and fangs. The young, obedient and alert, stand in the center. It's a learned behavior, refined over generations. Here, survival depends not on individual strength, but on the collective. The lions approach, and one of them tries to flank but miscalculates. Before he can attack, a trunk violently impacts him. The feline's roar is lost among the defensive bellows. The tension persists for endless minutes. The air becomes dense, charged with adrenaline. The roars of predators mingle with the deep snorts of elephants. But little by little, the balance tips. One by one, the lions retreat. There is no prey tonight, not without paying a heavy price. Calm slowly returns to the savannah. The pride continues on its way. There will be no feast tonight. The cubs, unharmed, cling to their mothers. The predators retreat. Unity has saved the most vulnerable. With dawn, everything is renewed. While the lionesses lick their cubs, clearing away the remnants of sleep, the elephants continue their march toward a hidden oasis. The youngsters frolic in the puddles, splashing mud in an ancient game. One of the youngsters dares to move away, curious, but a female quickly catches up with him and firmly redirects him. Here, no one raises babies alone. The females share motherhood, nursing unborn babies. They teach everyone equally because survival is not an individual task. On the savannah, every day is a balancing act. The zebra that gives birth today may be prey tomorrow. The lioness that hunts masterfully also purrs while her cub plays with her tail. The elephant leading his group also stops to have a moment to himself, to rub his body against a tree, scratching himself with pleasure. And when evening falls, when the colors of the sky turn orange and purple, the calm isn't complete. It's a momentary truce, because hunger doesn't sleep, because water is limited, because the slowest, the most careless may never see another dawn. Still, there are moments of tenderness. A lioness cuddles her cubs under a rock, shading them with her body. These are simple yet essential gestures, because in this world without promises, the bond is the only sure thing. Night falls, and with it the sounds of life and death, the distant hoot of an owl, the snort of a rhinoceros, the creaking of branches under stealthy paws. The savannah never truly sleeps. It only changes guard. And meanwhile, where the ground curves toward the endless horizon, a figure appears in silhouette. The golden-maned lion watches. He doesn't roar, he doesn't move, he just listens. He knows these have been tough days for the group, but as leader, his main task is to watch over the life of the pride. While the lion silently contemplates the fate of his pride, in another corner of the vast African landscape, another drama unfolds with the same savage intensity. There, under the endless sky and on a sun-scorched land, two creatures perform an ancient dance, a dance where the steps are marked by necessity, instinct, and adaptation. At first light, when shadows still cling to the outline of the bushes and the air is cool for the last time before the scorching heat of the day, a silhouette glides across the savannah. Its movements don't raise a single speck of dust. It's the cheetah, an animal as elegant as it is lethal, seeking the most precious thing: food. The cheetah's life is an endless race. Although it's the fastest land animal on the planet, it rarely runs. Each stride costs it energy it can't afford to waste. The hunt is measured, strategic, calculated down to the last millimeter. Between the dry scrub and the golden plains, this feline's eyesight is its best ally. It scans the horizon with precision, looking for signs: unusual movement, a straggling figure, a disturbed pace in the gait of a pack. Birchal zebra roams the savannah in large groups, grazing, moving in search of the best grasslands. Their stripes aren't just synonymous with beauty, they're a defense mechanism, an optical effect that disorients and deceives. When they run together, they appear to be a single body in motion, a black and white swirl that challenges the eye and breaks the predator's focus. But in this land, no matter how difficult the situation, everyone has to eat, and everyone can be eaten. Zebras live in strong communities, where social relationships are an important pillar of survival. They look out for each other. Mothers fiercely protect their young, placing them at the center of the herd, away from any threat. Adult mares surround their foals as they graze. And when one detects danger, the warning is transmitted like an electric wave, a short whinny, a fixed stare, and suddenly, without hesitation, they are all on the move. It's a new dry morning, and the tension is palpable in the air. The sun has barely risen over the horizon, but it already imposes its presence over Namibia. The atmosphere vibrates with an anticipatory heat. In the vast expanse of southern Africa, where life depends on instinct and timing, every sound, every shadow can mean the difference between survival or disappearance. In a clearing among dry bushes, a figure glides silently. It's a female cheetah, slender, agile, but with ribs already marked by several days of unsuccessful hunting. Her movements are calculated, almost ritualistic. She doesn't hunt just for herself. Deep in the golden grass, two puppies remain motionless. They are barely 3 months old, and their world depends entirely on her. In this unforgiving territory, every hunting attempt is a battle against the odds. Unlike lions or hyenas, the cheetah lacks the strength for prolonged combat. Their only advantage is speed. But after a race, their body is exhausted. If they manage to catch their prey, they must eat quickly or give up everything to the first scavenger that appears. Here, even a lone hyena can snatch the fruits of their labor. Not far away, a herd of zebras moves slowly, seeking the last green pastures before midday. Among them, a young, inexperienced foal strays a few meters. A simple detour, insignificant at first glance. But in this wild environment, mistakes are costly. The bloodthirsty female crushes herself to the ground. The battler eagle, also prowling the air in search of its chance at a good feast on this day, is the only one able to perceive the entire hunting sequence of the speedy mammal from the air. His silhouette fades into the earth, almost imperceptible among the dust and shadows. His eyes fix on the colt. The wind blows in his favor. Every muscle prepares. The silence thickens, and then it begins. Like a flash of lightning across the cracked earth, the feline leaps forth. She's the fastest land creature on the planet, capable of reaching speeds of 90 kilometers per hour. And at this moment, that speed is the difference between feeding her young or watching them starve to death. The herd breaks in a burst of hooves and whinnying, but the colt, too slow, too young, has no chance. The distance closes. The hunt is decided in seconds. A final leap, a cloud of dust. The law of nature prevails, then silence. The cheetah's body trembles, its breathing is labored, but its prey is on the ground, motionless. It has won this battle. Wasting no time, it drags the foal's body toward the shade of a nearby bush. There's no room to relax. In Namibia, every moment counts. Any second can bring a threat. A low growl escapes her throat, a maternal call. From the tall grass, two tiny heads emerge. Their spots are darker, their legs still unsteady. The cubs come to the call. They run up, wobbly, and feed under her watchful gaze. While they eat, they learn. They observe their mother's every gesture, how attentive she remains, how quickly she eats, how she marks her territory. Learning doesn't come from words, but from shared experience. Soon they'll be the ones chasing prey, but not yet. For now, they're merely spectators of a life they can't even imagine. Right now, all they think about is playing and having their mother's undivided attention. Not far from there, in the Western Heights, another story unfolds. Hartmann's mountain zebras have found refuge in steep, rocky terrain, far from the plains where the big cats patrol. Their bodies are more robust, their legs stronger. They don't rely on speed, but rather on agility. They move like acrobats among hot stones, searching for small green shoots between dry cracks. But this refuge comes at no cost. In these rugged lands, the threat doesn't roar. It doesn't lurk in the undergrowth, but rather lurks in the silence of the abyss. One loose rock, one false leap, and life shatters in an instant. There's no place for the weak here. Every member of the pack must earn their place, and the pups, so fragile on their first day of life, begin their struggle from their first breath. Mothers with stern gazes guide their young along narrow paths where the air is thick and the earth scorches under the sun. There is no room for error. With every step, adults teach us where to step, when to stop, how to survive. The wind, which blows freely on the plains, swirls here with force, carrying with it the distant echoes of ancient stampedes and fatal falls. The small but united pack moves forward as one. There is no confusion or dispersion. Each stride is charged with purpose. Communication is subtle but constant. A soft whinny, the touch of a snout, the vibration of the ground when you stop suddenly. Everything counts in this setting, dominated by stones and heat. Sometimes, from the highest cliffs, a hungry leopard watches. Although it rarely dares to climb, the scent of a vulnerable cub could tempt even the most cautious. Then tension grips the group. Mothers surround their children, adults raise their heads, scanning the shadows. It's a game of nerves, where a second of distraction can mean an ambush. Here, the hunt doesn't announce itself. It comes like a swift, lethal shadow and can emerge at any moment. But zebras aren't easy prey. When the threat materializes, they react. Hooves pound rock, whinnying turns into war cries, and a wave of dust rises. Even the most experienced predators think twice before attacking this close-knit yet fierce community. Every day at these altitudes is a test. Food is scarce, water is a distant promise. And yet, they keep going. There's no complaint, no pause, only forward movement. In the dry season, they can go days without finding a puddle, but they endure. Meanwhile, on the savannah, cheetah cubs grow. At 5 months old, they already accompany their mother on short chases, although they rarely intervene. They just watch. They practice among themselves, run and ambush each other in games that mimic real hunting. Their fur begins to change, losing the crest that made them look like honey-eaters and protected them from other predators during their first weeks. The mother must teach them everything in a short time. At 18 months, she will leave them. They will have to fend for themselves, find their own territory, avoid confrontations with other predators, hunt without help. It's a lonely path. Zebras, on the other hand, are never alone. Young zebras remain with their herd. They grow up within a structure where there are clear hierarchies, where learning is collective. They learn to recognize migratory routes, to follow the group's rhythm, to identify sounds that signal danger or the sighting of water. The herd is their shield, their school, their only home. During the changing of the seasons, zebras embark on a journey as ancient as the wind. Guided by the silent rhythm of nature, thousands of striped bodies move in unison, seeking what has become scarce: water and fresh grass. The drought has taken hold in the region, drying up wells, cracking the earth and leaving behind a dusty and harsh landscape. But the zebras aren't hesitating. The herd moves forward as it always has. There are no maps, no visible signs, only a deep intuition that draws them toward northern Namibia, toward a place where the rains have already begun to fall. These are days of tireless walking, of distant horizons and silence broken only by the sound of hooves and the occasional whinny. The group is diverse, mothers with young who have yet to master the pace, young males who sometimes separate a few meters, and veterans who are well aware of the dangers of the journey. Every mile they cross paths with other travelers, herds of antelopes also moving toward the promised land, birds following the winds, and shadows lurking in the grass because danger never ceases, and they know that not all of them will arrive. Night falls on the pack, the hyenas appear, they make no noise, they don't need to, they wait for their opportunity, a moment of carelessness, a delayed cub. When they attack, it's swift. The group is agitated, there's confusion. But the march doesn't stop. What's lost can't be recovered, and everyone knows it. Further on, they must cross a river that still has some of its flow. The water is murky, but it's the only path available before continuing their journey. The zebras enter cautiously. The current isn't strong, but something moves beneath the surface. A hungry crocodile waits. The tension is brief and lethal. A young zebra is caught. The splash quickly dissolves into the channel. The rest cross without looking back. The savanna then opens up into a different landscape, less arid, greener, signs that the end of the journey is approaching. But there's still one more obstacle, the salt flats. A vast, white, dry, unprotected expanse. The heat here feels heavier. There's no shade, no respite. At a slow pace, they cross it in close file. The sky, without warning, begins to darken. Heavy clouds gather on the horizon. And then the first drops, slow, spaced out, but certain. The earth begins to soften. In a few days, the landscape will change completely. Green will sprout. The water will return. But not now. Because the group continues onward, there's no time to rest, because stopping means disappearing. The first light of dawn tinges the landscape with shades of gold and pink. With the dew still hanging on the toughest grasses, a herd of oryx begins to move slowly. The still sleepy young follow their mothers closely, learning the rhythm of the adults. There's no room for error. In Namibia, the margin between life and death is as thin as the edge of an acacia leaf. The oryxes, with their robust bodies and imposing horns, march in a loose but coordinated formation. An old male with visible scars on his flanks and a gaze trained by years of surveillance takes up a position at the rear. He's seen too much. Frantic chases, devastating droughts, leadership battles. Like every day, his mission is clear. Stay alert while the group feeds. The hot breeze from the Namibian desert stirs up clouds of dust that drift between the animals' paws. The sand sticks to their skin, their fur, and even life itself. The sun is unforgiving. It beats down hard from dawn, burning skin and evaporating water before it hits the ground. But the oryx know this land. They are a product of it. They have learned to endure the desert fire, to find shade in the non-existent, to survive where others perish. Among them, the young trot clumsily, mimicking their mother's movements. They don't yet understand the silent language of signals or the weight of responsibility to stay alive. They only feel warmth, hunger, and the need to keep going. Nearby, a young mother turns her ears in all directions, listening for any unusual creaking. Maternal instinct rumbles in her chest. Every sound could be a threat. In the distance, among the dry bushes, a lioness's yellow eyes flicker like hidden embers. Crouching in the shadows, she studies the formation. Experience has taught her not to rush. It's not enough to be hungry. You need strategy. His pack has failed several times this week, and an empty stomach is beginning to cloud his senses. One of the hatchlings has strayed just a few meters, a step outside the nucleus. Not much, but enough to awaken the killer instinct. The old male has noticed it too. He doesn't see the lioness, but he senses her. He doesn't hear the growl, but he imagines it. It's a feeling that grows deep in his marrow, that grows with each step. She takes a few steps toward the calf, slowly, without alarming the group. The mother turns her head just in time to see her little one stray too far. Like a silent bolt of lightning, the lioness breaks through the cover. The sound is dull, paws on sand, muscles tense, and a savage determination. The herd erupts into restrained chaos. There are no screams, just a collective impulse that stretches muscles and ignites adrenaline. The young are pushed to the center. The adults form an irregular circle, their hooves pounding the ground. The old male stands between the lioness and the group. His horns, curved and sharp like sabers, aren't just decoration, they're weapons. The lioness knows this. Still, she doesn't slow down. He launches himself with desperate ferocity, charging forward in the hope of slipping between the gaps in the defense. The encounter is brief, brutal, electric. The lioness falls to her side, dusting herself off furiously, while the male takes just a step back, just enough to show that he is still standing. She hasn't been seriously injured, but she's lost the element of surprise. The pack is already on the move. The prey has escaped again. Frustrated, the lioness disappears into the dunes. There will be another chance. Maybe tomorrow, maybe tonight. Meanwhile, the oryx herd resumes its march. The old male breathes heavily. He has expended energy that he cannot easily recover, but he has fulfilled his purpose. One more cub will live another day. The mother nuzzles her little one, making sure it's unharmed. Fear still hangs in the air like the dust kicked up by the flight. The danger isn't limited to predators alone. Thirst also lurks. The ponds have dried up. The cracked ground offers no relief. The plants that still survive are few and bitter. The herd moves toward a rocky area where, according to the old male's memories, there might be a trickle of water hidden beneath the stones. Along the way, the silence is thick. Vultures circle in the sky like omens of death, and they aren't the only ones watching. From a hill, a solitary hyena watches the parade with shining eyes. He won't attack now, but he memorizes every step, every face. Hyenas don't forget. They wait. They feed on the mistakes of others. The sun begins to set, and with it, temperatures plummet. Nighttime in Namibia is a cruel paradox, from fire to ice in a matter of hours. The herd stops. The young ones huddle together with their mothers. The old male remains steadfast. He'll sleep standing up, his eyes half closed, his ears constantly moving. At this point, rest is a luxury he can't afford. During the night, the wind changes direction. A sour smell floats in the air. It could be a carcass. It could be another herd. The old male doesn't move. He just watches the silhouette of the savannah in the moonlight. Another day has passed. The cycle continues. In Namibia, life is measured in moments. A second can mean the difference between existence and oblivion. Here, beauty is tinged with rawness. Every creature, from the fiercest to the most fragile, struggles to stay alive for another day. And so, as the sky fills with stars and the howl of jackals announces the changing of the guard, the pack sleeps, if only for a few hours, huddled among the echoes of survival. A few meters away, hidden among low bushes, small figures move lightly. They are jumping gazelles, females with young, nervously grazing. Every leaf, every shoot is examined quickly and precisely. Vigilance is shared. While some feed, others scan the horizon with pricked ears and steady gaze. The savannah comes alive with faint sounds, the crunch of branches under paws, the rustle of the wind through dry bushes, the soft bleating of a calf searching for its mother. This moment of calm is fleeting. In this ecosystem, even seconds can define the fate of a life. A shadow slips by on the periphery. A slight, almost imperceptible shift in the air alerts one of the mothers. Her neck lengthens, her eyes widen. Instantly, tension spreads like a silent lightning bolt through the pack. The young, still clumsy, sense the urgency before they understand it. Barely 100 meters away, camouflaged among the golden hues of the dry grass, 3 lionesses are lurking, seeking revenge. They've been waiting for this moment for hours, hidden, almost motionless, their muscles tense, instinct roaring silently inside their chests. They are sisters, hunters, synchronized by years of experience and shared blood. They haven't eaten in 2 days. They can't fail again like they did with Oryx's group. The leader barely moves an ear. That's the signal. The second lioness slips to the left, looking to flank. The third, the youngest, circles back to the east. The trap closes slowly, without a single roar, without a single footstep to give it away. Patience is the key. The gazelles begin to fall back. The mothers push the young toward the center of the group. They know that in the race, only the fastest survive, and the young aren't ready yet. A high-pitched shriek cuts through the air. A young woman has seen danger, and then chaos erupts. A cloud of dust rises as the savannah awakens in a stampede. Gazelles flee in all directions, jumping, dodging, running for their lives. The earth trembles beneath their feet. The young try to keep up with their mothers, but many are left behind, vulnerable, defenseless. The led lioness bursts furiously into the bushes. There's no more stealth, only speed and strength. Her eyes are fixed on a lagging cub, its paws trembling with exertion. The distance shortens, 20 meters, 15, 10. The mother turns and leaps desperately, putting herself between her daughter and death. A swipe of her paw reaches them both, a shriek, then silence. The other two lionesses have scattered in the confusion. One manages to catch a young gazelle, which, exhausted, stumbles. Her jaws close around its neck. The body jerks once, then falls limp. The hunt has been successful, but at a price. The youngest lioness has been gored in the paw during the chase. He limps, but he doesn't stop. Fresh meat will restore his strength. If he survives, he'll live to hunt another day. If not, the pack will have to decide. In the distance, vultures are already circling, drawn by the scent of blood. The cycle continues. Each life feeds another. In Namibia, death is not an end, but another link in the chain of survival. The sun slowly sets over the horizon, dyeing the sky orange and scarlet. At a nearby waterhole, a family of elephants comes to drink. The matriarch, an elderly female with curved tusks like ivory blades, leads the way. Her deep, wise eyes scan the area before allowing the younger ones to approach the water. Elephants also know the price of protection. Just a few months ago, a group of male lions attacked a sick calf. The mother fought with her entire body, defending herself with her tusks and trunk. She won the battle, but lost her cub. Since then, she is watched more closely every night. The sounds of the savannah change with the light. Daytime screeches give way to the guttural calls of jackals and the distant hoot of a fishing owl. A hyena approaches the hunting ground, attracted by the remains. There's no honor in carrion, but there's life. The hyena licks its lips. She too has cubs hidden in an underground burrow. High in an acacia tree, an owl watches everything. Its round eyes rotate with mechanical precision. It doesn't hunt large prey, but it does hunt. Every creature in Namibia, from the fiercest to the smallest, carries the survival instinct imprinted within them like an invisible tattoo. Here, every decision can mean life or death. Even silence can be a weapon or a sentence. On a nearby hill, a group of meerkats bids farewell to the day. The ever-vigilant sentry casts one last glance before they all disappear into their network of tunnels. During the day, they have gathered insects and roots for food, but they have also lost a limb. An eagle swooped down at midday, and one of the young birds failed to hide in time. Night falls like a heavy curtain. The heat dissipates and the cold bites. Distant roars intensify, reminding us that darkness is not a refuge but a new battlefield. Wild Namibia never rests. Its inhabitants know no respite. They live at the limits of their strength, in communion with the wind, the earth, and the relentless cycles of instinct. Here, every day is a test, and every creature, from predator to prey, writes its story with claws, paws, and will. Because in this red and gold land there are no spectators, only protagonists. Each day's mission is simple yet daunting: to feed without being hunted. For the oryx, this means traveling great distances in search of dry grasses, buried roots, and shrubs with moisture-rich leaves. They can go days without seeing a water source, but their bodies are designed to endure. Their kidneys concentrate urine to the limit, and their metabolism allows them to withstand high body temperatures without sweating. As the sun rises, the heat begins to dictate. Gazelles, more sensitive to high temperatures, retreat into the low vegetation, seeking the meager shade that barely mitigates the heat, but offers a false sense of security. This is where the young rest, huddled and hidden, while their mothers visit briefly to feed them. Unlike the oryx, springboks rely on their agility. They lack the strength to take on a leopard, nor the size to intimidate a hyena. But they have a gift: they can disappear in the blink of an eye. Their erratic leaps not only confuse predators, but also send a clear message: I'm strong and alert, I'm not worth your effort. On the plains, every movement counts. A twitching ear, a flicking tail, a sudden pause. It's the secret language of the savannah. Among mammals, no sound is needed to warn the group. A sentry's head suddenly raises its head and everyone stops, their bodies tense, their eyes fixed, their muscles ready. If danger approaches, they'll run. If it's inevitable, they'll fight. Gazelles, for their part, live in an almost constant state of alert. A shadow in the sky could mean an eagle. A rustle in the bushes could mean a crouching leopard. And although they share the landscape with the antelope, they don't compete directly. The oryx feeds on tough roots and leaves that the gazelle despises. The gazelle, on the other hand, is selective. It seeks out young shoots, fresh seeds, and moisture hidden in tender stems. But coexistence benefits them. The presence of the larger and more visible oryx can distract predators or act as a barrier. And when a gazelle breaks into a run, its reaction alerts the rest of the savanna's invisible inhabitants. During the rainy season, when the dry soil transforms into a fleeting carpet of green, life blossoms. It's the time to bring new life into the world. Female oryxes, after 8 months of gestation, give birth to a single calf. In the first few days, they keep it hidden, only going far enough away to feed. The young, defenseless but camouflaged, wait motionless among the vegetation, making no sound and leaving no scent. After a few weeks, he'll begin to integrate into the group. He'll learn to identify useful plants, safe routes, and warning signs. But above all, he'll learn to be wary. The mother, meanwhile, becomes a living barrier. She won't hesitate to confront a jackal, a hyena, or even a lion if her cub is in danger. She has seen the price of distraction. Springboks follow a different strategy. Their young are also born alone, but the mother rarely visits. She hides them in bushes and visits them once or twice a day, always in silence. In just a few days, that baby will be able to run, jump, and dodge. There's no room for slow development. Here, if you don't run, you don't survive. As the sun reaches its zenith, activity slows. The gazelles remain almost motionless, breathing slowly. Oryxes, for their part, gather under broad canopied trees or among rocks that offer some shade. During these hours, everything is reduced to a minimum: movement, breathing, and energy expenditure. In this extreme world, even heat is a predator. That's why a mammal's body reflects sunlight. That's why its sweat glands are inactive. That's why gazelles have learned to disappear, even in the midday darkness. As the sun begins to set and the air warms, the savanna revives. Antelopes resume their march, marking new paths in the sand. Gazelles emerge from their hiding places, stretching their slender legs, ready to take advantage of the last hours of light. The landscape turns orange and purple. It's a beautiful moment, but also the most dangerous. Many hunters prefer the shadows, and that's when eyes shine in the shadows, when footsteps are silent, when the silence becomes dense. These ever-alert antelopes often stop at the slightest hint of danger. When traveling in groups, they instinctively surround their young with a ring of sturdy bodies and sharp horns, forming a living wall against predators. Gazelles, in contrast, adopt a different strategy. They disperse in open formations, prioritizing space to run. This way, when attacked, the group doesn't completely panic, and each individual has a chance to escape. As night falls, tensions rise. The oryxes gather in a circle, placing the youngest in the center, protected by the adults. The gazelles, more vulnerable and lacking the antelope's physical strength, choose to rest in strategic clearings, always ready to flee at the slightest noise. Namibia leaves no room for error. Every move, every choice can mean the difference between life and death. Yet every sunrise is proof that life persists, adapting to extreme conditions. The oryx embodies resilience. It survives on little water, endures scorching heat, and stands firm in the face of adversity. The springbok, on the other hand, represents agility. It relies on its speed, its ability to conceal itself, and its keen survival instinct. Both so distinct and complementary, they are pillars of the region's ecological balance. Their grazing habits limit the overgrowth of certain plants, promoting biodiversity. In this harsh and unforgiving landscape, each species plays a vital role, and both strength and speed find their place in the grand scheme of things. Their role as prey keeps the food chain moving, and their very presence is a reminder that life finds ways to persist, even in the most arid corners of the planet. Although they are distinct species, the oryx and the springbok share more than meets the eye. Not only do they cohabit a harsh and vast territory, but they also benefit from each other even if they don't know it. In certain areas, both species have been observed frequenting the same patches of shade. By sharing routes and activity times, they amplify collective vigilance. The more nervous gazelle quickly detects threats. The stronger mammal offers a certain deterrent. Together, although without a conscious alliance, they create a natural survival network. Just as species on land unknowingly collaborate to survive, the ocean also harbors unexpected relationships that defy superficial logic. Along Namibia's Atlantic coast, where the Namib Desert meets the ocean amidst sand and salt, life bustles around every corner. Here, in these waters that appear still only from a distance, a complex dance of survival, instinct, and connection unfolds daily. At the heart of this aquatic universe, two protagonists stand out: the dolphins and the Cape Fur seals. They, so different and so similar, live to the rhythm of the tides, hunt when the ocean allows it, and raise their young among waves, rocks, and abundant threats. At dawn, when the sky is still tinged with dark blue and the seagulls are just beginning to break the silence with their cries, a group of Atlantic bottlenose dolphins advances in formation through the waters near Walvis Bay. They move as one, alternating brief dives with playful leaps that barely hint at the complexity of their underwater communication. Each movement has a purpose. Adults, who can weigh between 150 and 650 kilos, have been spotted drifting along the coast, taking advantage of the cold and nourishing currents of the Benguela. But what appears to be a harmonious dance is actually preparation for a war scenario. In this untamed corner of Namibia, every day is a fierce choreography between hunger and life. Sardines don't swim, they flee, and dolphins don't play, they hunt. In the tense silence of the sea, clicks and whistles can be heard. They aren't just sounds, they are orders, warnings, strategies shared in seconds. The pack divides with surgical precision: flanks, ambush, encirclement. Some act as living barriers, others push the school upward, forcing it to approach the surface, where the sun begins to illuminate its destination. The school, like a liquid silver cloud, churns in panic. Every flash underwater is a reflection of desperation. From below, the dolphins push forward forcefully, surfacing violently. The water bursts into foam. Sardines are flung into the air. Seagulls and gannets, which until a few moments ago were mere spectators in the still sleepy skies, dive, completing the fatal circle. In a matter of minutes, the frenzy ends. The water is stained with scales. The herd floats for a moment, calm, not out of satiation but out of respect. The young emerge alongside their mothers, some still learning to keep pace, others beginning to understand that there is no room for weakness. Here, even the game is a simulation of the hunt. What you don't learn, you pay for. In Namibia, instinct is law, and the pack is a shield. The younger ones must adapt, and quickly. There's no respite. Amid the foam and eddies, mothers teach. They approach their young with pieces of prey, not to feed them directly, but to show them how to tear, how to swallow, how to survive. It's a ritual as primitive as it is sacred, separating life from death. Beyond the reach of human sight, this wild coast vibrates with brutality. On dry land, on the vast plains of the Namib, jackals begin their own hunting shift. But in the ocean, dolphins dominate the early hours, like sentinels of a world that knows no mercy. In the distance, a shark stealthily surfaces. The scent of fresh blood is a call. The pack detects it almost immediately. They change direction. They don't flee, but they don't challenge either. They know when to hunt and when to disappear. It's the delicate balance of the food chain. Here, the predator is also prey. Mothers guide their young to deeper waters. The group regroups. The hierarchy isn't discussed, it's felt. The oldest lead the way, the youngest follow the trail. It's a moment of vulnerability. The sea, although favorable today, can turn against them in seconds. Beneath the surface, the dangers are invisible until it's too late. Poisonous rays, ghost nets, treacherous currents. But the worst enemy is the mistake. Not all of the youngsters manage to adapt. Some fall behind. One of them, a young male with clumsy movements, tries to keep up but stumbles upon emerging. His mother returns, gently pushes him, wraps her body around him. She encourages him to keep going. There's no room for the weak, but there's no room for abandonment either. Each cub represents a promise, a future hunter, another link in the chain of survival. At that moment, another swarm of sardines is spotted in the distance. The herd changes direction. The young man hesitates, but this time he doesn't stay behind. He pushes his body hard, imitating the movements of adults, understanding that hunting is not just a matter of hunger, but of belonging. Because he who doesn't hunt, doesn't eat. And he who doesn't learn doesn't live, because here in the dolphin world everything is taught: when to stalk, how to use echolocator clicks, how to read group signals. The young dolphin performed well this time, which leaves an encouraging future for the pod. Not far from there, in Cape Cross, the Cape Fur Seal colony awakens with a guttural concert that can be heard for miles. The beaches, covered with moving bodies, teem with life. Huge males with dark manes fight over territories with their jaws wide open, while thousands of females move through the mass, caring for their young or looking for a spot to give birth in peace. It's December, and birthing season has begun. Amid the orderly chaos of this marine metropolis, a female cub moves with difficulty across the hot sand. Her gait is slow, tired, marked by the heavy curve of her belly. She has been silently gestating for almost a year. Now, the time has come. With deep breaths, she lies down on a mound of sand just a few meters away from the hustle and bustle. Her breathing quickens. All around, the waves crash violently, and the Atlantic wind whistles through the tightly packed bodies of the colony. But in that little corner, the world stops. The female closes her eyes, her body tenses. For endless minutes, she arches, thrusts, and moans. A trickle of blood mixes with the sand. Suddenly, a wet, trembling figure falls to the ground. A baby, tiny, blind, defenseless. Its skin is as black as coal, still clinging to its body from the wetness of birth. The mother sits up slowly. Her snout approaches her baby. She licks it with wild tenderness, cleaning it, stimulating its first breath. The newborn lets out a high-pitched squeal, which is lost in the distant roar of the sea. Life has won again, but there's no time for celebration. The threat is constant. A hungry seagull hovers over the scene, waiting for the slightest carelessness. Further away, a jackal prowls the edges of the colony, searching for the weakest pups. The mother stands tall, shielding the baby with her body. Her once weary eyes now burn with fierce determination. For the next few days, mother and child will be inseparable. She will breastfeed him with a high-fat milk, which will allow him to double in size in just a few weeks. He, in his clumsiness, will learn to recognize her voice among thousands, to search for her scent in the crowd. In Cape Cross, the bond between mother and son is stronger than noise, fear, or hunger. Many mothers, still exhausted from recently giving birth, search for their young among hundreds of other cubs, guided only by smell and a distinctive call. The small but sturdy calves babble as they wait for the fat-rich milk that will help them gain weight quickly and withstand the cold Atlantic winds. But it's not all tenderness. While the mothers travel back and forth between the sea and the shore in search of food, the pups are vulnerable. Seagulls, always opportunistic, watch from the sky, ready to attack sick or weakened chicks. Further out in the deep waters, sharks and orcas patrol silently. Both know that Cape Cross, though protected by the chaotic appearance of thousands of bodies, also represents an opportunity for experienced predators waiting for their chance. Meanwhile, the sea lion colony faces another type of threat: heat. Although the Atlantic waters are cold, the African sun is unforgiving. As the day progresses, the sand becomes a scorching furnace, and the only escape seems to be the ocean. Their bodies, covered in a thick layer of fat, begin to overheat. The collective panting of the colony mingles with the constant cries of thousands of young, desperately seeking their mother's return. To cool off, many adults crawl into the surf and lie on the shore, letting the waves wash over their heavy bodies. But even that maneuver is a Russian roulette. Every entry and exit from the water can become its own trap. Mothers are forced to leave their young alone for hours before diving into the sea. Their eyes, trained to detect shadows in the water, scan the horizon before diving. The hunt begins. Beneath the waves, silence is relative. Danger lurks in the depths. The diet varies, but sardines, mackerel, and squid are essential. Every bite is a race against time. Mothers hunt not only for themselves, but also to feed their hungry young, who wait motionless on the shore, vulnerable to crows, solitary hyenas, or the accidental trampling of other members of the colony. Benguela Current ensures a relatively abundant catch, but competition is fierce. They aren't the only predators hunting fish. Flocks of gannets dive like missiles, fighting over food. But what really raises the tension is the presence of the true masters of the ocean, bull sharks and orcas. There in the dark blue depths, predators hunt not just for hunger, but also for strategy. A mother sea lion, confident after a successful catch, is surprised by the sinister silhouette of a shark patrolling the edge of the school. In an instant, in the blink of an eye, the water turns red. Another calf will be left waiting on the shore for a mother who will never return. And yet, hunting isn't just the preserve of predators. Mothers also show their fiercest side when it comes to survival. Taking advantage of fast-moving currents, they dart through schools of fish with lethal precision, turning nimbly, catching and devouring their prey in seconds. Each meal represents another day of life for your offspring. The survival instinct is what keeps this species alive. The young, still wobbly on the sand, learn quickly. From a young age, they practice swimming in coastal pools, imitating the movements of adults. A lesson that could save their lives in just a few months. The hierarchy also has its weight. The dominant males, true giants weighing over 300 kilos, guard their harems with a mixture of arrogance and aggression. They engage in brutal battles where fangs sink into flesh, where blood and sand mingle under an indifferent sky. Each territory won is a promise of offspring, but also a burden. They must defend it constantly, without rest, without respite. And when night falls, there is no rest. The tide rises and the waves crash furiously, sweeping away the smallest, the weakest, the sick. The hyenas, attracted by the scent of blood and death, patrol the edges of the colony. Darkness offers no shelter. It only changes the nature of the dangers. Every day is a struggle for existence, a delicate balance between instinct and brutality. But despite everything, the colony endures, because inside every sea lion beats a heart shaped by generations of survival, one that understands that on these shores, living is a form of courage. When fish are scarce, sea lions must swim farther, risking encounters with bull sharks and orcas, which do not hesitate to separate the stragglers. In the air, cormorants and gannets hover over the scene like sentinels of the ocean. They know that where there are dolphins hunting, there will also be remains within easy reach. In fact, they often follow bottlenose dolphins, waiting for the exact moment to swoop in and snatch an unsuspecting fish. Dolphins, for their part, seem to enjoy the company of the birds. There have been cases in which they even change their routes to interact with the birds, forming alliances not fully understood by scientists. During the afternoon, when the sun turns golden and the waves reflect metallic glints, the bottlenose dolphins return to shallower waters. This is where youngsters practice their skills. They jump, spin, and swim at full speed in simulated chases. Adults watch them and occasionally join in the play. In parallel, Heaviside's dolphins retreat to less crowded areas. Their ultra-sensitive senses prefer the silence of dusk, where the world is reduced to the echo of their own clicks. On the beach, sea lions gather in higher ground, sheltering from the advancing tide. The pups, born a few weeks ago, are taking their first steps toward the sea. Some back away when they feel the cold water. Others, more daring, dive in and discover a world they had previously known only through their mother's sense of smell. Dominant males keep watch with watchful eyes, keeping at bay younger rivals who hang around the harems, waiting for an opportunity to challenge their authority. The sun sets slowly over the desert horizon. The golden light highlights the damp bodies of thousands of sea lions. The seemingly tranquil beach is a hive of life and death. Among the coastal bushes, a pair of eyes silently observes. A black-backed jackal, opportunistic and patient, glides between the rocks with the stealth of a ghost. He knows what he's looking for, an isolated, injured or sleeping chick. The bustle of the colony provides cover. He advances inch by inch, hidden among the carcasses of other, less fortunate sea lions, until he finds his target, a newborn pup, straggling behind the group, bleating for its mother. The jackal doesn't hesitate. It dashes forward with speed, dodging the 190-kilo adult giants that can pierce its back with their large tusks. Chaos erupts in seconds. The adults bellow, some get in the way, but it's too late. The young try to escape, clumsy, not knowing what's happening. The jackal grabs her by the neck and drags her into the bush. Her mother arrives seconds later, sniffs the ground, lets out a piercing howl, and remains motionless, helpless. The scene, though brutal, is part of the natural balance. Each predator fulfills its function. Here, on the wild beaches of Namibia, there is no room for weakness. As night falls, the ocean changes its rhythm. The waters cool, the currents strengthen, and the sounds deepen. The human vessels move away, and the coast is left in the hands of its true owners. This is when the struggle for life becomes quieter, more stealthy. Sharks hunt in the shadows. Dolphins sleep in shifts, one half of their brain awake, the other at rest. And sea lion pups curl up under their mothers, seeking warmth and protection. This is a day in the life of these extraordinary animals. On the coast, dolphins and sea lions search for food in the Atlantic currents. On land, elephants move in groups while zebras graze under the watchful eye of cheetahs and lions. Further south, oryx and springbok roam the open plains, alert to any movement, combining speed and endurance to survive. Each species fulfills its role in an environment where adaptation is key. Either they adapt or they perish.